We were first introduced to Rox D. Shebeck in chapter 957 of One Piece, with Sengoku revealing a very tightly kept secret that did not only change our perspective on the entire story, but fueled so many more questions and theories. Who was this man who wanted to be the king of the world? Who was this powerhouse who was so strong that two legends had to team up to take him down? Who was this individual who not only was a member of the mysterious D-Clan, but also seemed to be a revolutionary and stood against the powers that be in his time, just like Joy Boy, Davy Jones, Goldie Roger, or more contemporary examples like Monkey D. Dragon and Monkey D. Luffy. Some depicted Rox as a selfish, power-hungry, self-serving, and heartless pirate, but as we got to know him, we found out that contrary to this ballyhoo, Rox was a great captain, friend, and above all, a family man. And in the aftermath of the God Valley incident, his impact and his will continue to resound across the seas. This is a review of One Piece chapter 1165, titled Echo. Let's begin. At the end of last chapter, after Rox had been turned into a monster and was wreaking havoc on God Valley, he came face to face with Roger and Garp and begged them to end his life. One thing that I did ask myself was if Garp and Roger were able to perceive Rox's inner thoughts because they had the voice of all things. We do know that Roger had the voice of all things, so is it also now confirmed that Garp had the voice of all things as well? I mean, at this point in the story, you can clearly see that Garp is one of the chosen few, so that'll make sense. And I have to thank Oda Sensei because my prayers were answered. I wanted to see action, and boy oh boy did we get some action in this chapter. Rox, Roger and Garp are going back and forth, blow for blow, bend for bend, and I'm loving every fucking bit of it. They can clearly see that Rox is not his usual self, but I don't know what's going on. Sparks are flying, clouds are splitting, hills are falling, and the earth is shattering. All the people who were still on the island are trying to leave as fast as possible because the carnage has escalated to the highest level. Garp and Roger command their crews to take off the island and to wait for them at sea, and they promise to make it back no matter what. With their backs against the wall, they are forced to form a temporary alliance in an attempt to take down the ultimate villain. But even with their combined efforts, they are no match for the weapon of mass destruction that Rox has become. Trying to figure out if somehow, some way, they can undo the spell, but their efforts remain vain. Big Mom and Kaido have their mandatory big sister little brother argument like in every chapter, and Big Mom swears that she'll get her lick back, and Kaido is like,
yeah, whatever. If you try me, I'll kick your ass, nigga.
Whitebeard runs into a man called Graham, who is a spitting image of Marco, probably his father. Graham goes on about how he's a big fan of Whitebeard and how they should join forces now that Whitebeard doesn't have a crew. And Whitebeard is like, man, get off my d. After all the trauma that Dragon had been through, he had officially had enough. He had hijacked a marine ship and had ordered all the soldiers on there to take in civilians and survivors and save them. This is probably the beginning of his journey as a revolutionary. We see a world government ship leaving the island, and Im Sama speaking through Saturn and saying,
that island never existed. Is that clear?
From that point, every single piece of information and trivia about God Valley is probably going to be deleted, and the island is probably going to be erased from every single map. You know how this goes? The names of the participants in the human hunt, the number of casualties on that day, and every single detail linked to the God Valley incident is going to be swept under the rug. Roger and Garp are exhausted, and as they lie down, they talk about how Insama sits at the top of the world government and how f***ed up that is. And Garp is like, yeah, I know she's fucked up, man. Roger is like, Garp, if you want to leave, I'll gladly welcome you on board. And Garp is like, hell no. If I leave, who is going to protect the Marines? So I guess now we can say that the reason why Garp decided to stay within the organization was to act as some sort of counterpower and to groom the next generation of soldiers that will stand for actual justice, i.e. Aokiji, Kobe, etc. Garp and Roger then go on about why their attacks are unsuccessful against this beast. Roger mentions how armament haki, especially when combined with Conqueror's haki, is normally able to counter Devil Fruit powers. And Garp brings up the fact that Rox is also using armament haki and Conqueror's haki to defend himself, and by doing so, does not sustain any damage from the attacks, denoting the fact that just like for armament haki, there is an offensive version and a defensive version for Conqueror's haki. I think this also somehow confirms that the powers of Im Sama are due to a Devil Fruit ability, right? If that's the case, I wonder what type of Devil Fruit that is. It must be the strongest Devil Fruit in all of One Piece, my nigga. Roger and Garp come to the conclusion that the only way for them to put down this beast is to channel all of their conqueror's Haki into one attack. Even if it ends up crippling them, they go on to bid farewell to Rocks as they get ready to launch their final attacks, and it's a very emotional scene. Roger then launches God of Fire's Ace and Garp launches Infinity Explosion, and they go at full strength in order to take down Rocks, and that's how the God Valley incident comes to a close. This is so epic and so sad at the same time. Oh my god, we've already talked about how disheartening it was to see all these three legends go against one another. Now, what's the next step after this? Are we going to get more info about Rocks? Are we going to get more info about Rocks' family? Are we going to go back to Loki and Harald? Where is the story going from here? Anyways, no matter what happens, we'll be there for the next installment regardless. That's pretty much all I had to say. If you made it this far, thank you for watching the whole video. Don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, share. Subscribe if you want Roger and Garp to make it out of the island unscathed. Alright, I'll see y'all when I see y'all, and until then, stay safe and sound. Peace. I'm out.